welcome in to the IDP show live stream. Starts at Q&A. I am one of your hosts this wonderful Sunday morning, Jake Kohlhagen. You can find me over on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, at Late Round DB. And I'm joined by always, and by always I mean this week and last week, but that's still 2/3 of the live streams we've done since we just started this. The wonderful, my dear friend Jeff. Jeff, how are you today, sir?
Fantastic. How was your Thanksgiving, Jake?
Oh, it was pretty darn good. We did the carousel of food too, right? Because one family's like, we're gonna do turkey, and then we're like, we're all turkeyed out. So the next one we're doing chicken, and then next one we had beef tips, and then my brother runs like a bar and grill, and the beef tips he made were phenomenal for Thanksgiving last night. So it was awesome. How about you guys?
We did, a lot of food, a lot of football, and a lot of football. So,
speaking of football,
hey,
let's talk about some football. Let's jump right into it. We got a couple questions already in the chat lined up here, so we'll jump right into those, and we'll see where that takes us. So first one from the idpshow.com, we got Daryl T. So it's looking for 2 linebackers, and the linebackers you have to choose from: Fred Warner, Ernest Jones, Quay Walker, Bob Spillane, Drew Tranquil. And you put in claims for Landon Roberts and Blake Cashman as well. So we can work with the given ones for sure there, but we can consider some of the extra ones in case the claims went through for him. So who do you like out of that linebacker group, Jeff?
Well, apparently this is like a 4-team league because this is a embarrassment of riches. This is insane. Well, it's going to be tough because Warner's already played. Quay Walker's probably already played.
Yep.
So he needs 2 of these. So assuming he started, probably Warner.
I would think so. I think that's a safe assumption.
Yeah. I would probably lean Warner and maybe Roberts or Cashman if those claims went through. Those are some pretty nice matchups, and they've been producing extremely well the last few weeks as well. So,
yeah, it's a pretty solid. I'll say middle average matchup for the Steelers this week. Who do the Raiders got? The Raiders kind of the same thing. So yeah, probably I'd be torn between Spillane and Roberts. Cashman looked amazing last week. The Jaguars just don't give up a lot of points or score a lot of points to the linebacker position. So I'd go Spillane or Roberts. Honestly, you could flip a coin, but if I had to make a decision myself, I'd probably put in Spillane. I just think he offers a little bit more big play upside. Roberts is kind of one-dimensional in my view of things, but yeah. So I would assume Warner, and then if you didn't get the claim on Roberts, go Spillane. But if you wanted to put in Roberts there, I wouldn't be against it.
Yeah, Spillane's been balling out. I just don't like the matchup very much with Kansas City. They're a bottom last few weeks. They've been a bottom, the worst team against linebackers last 3 weeks. So, but
that's a good call. Then we go back to the secondary defensive backs. So he's got pick 2 here: Byard, Nixon, Metellus, Branch, and Bates. So Branch already played.
Nixon's already played.
So I don't think I would have picked either of them out of this group. Branch, maybe. I lean Metellus and Byard at this point. Metellus because he's essentially a second linebacker in that Brian Flores defense. And then Byard is just someone who his tackle floor has been reduced a little bit in how he plays in Philly versus when he was in Tennessee. But he's still just a strong playmaker on the back end of that defense that I like that matchup for him this week against the Bills and a mistake-prone Josh Allen. Maybe he's a little bit better now with the new offensive coordinator there, but yeah, for me, it's pretty easily Metellus and Byard.
Yeah, and I like to call him Byard. He's been a top Buffalo's been a top 5 play the last 3 weeks versus safeties, so that's a lock, I think. And Metellus is, like you said, ever since Jordan Hicks is gone, now they've kind of rolled him into that second linebacker role. So,
yep. All right, and then lastly, at this position, the defensive lines: Chris Jones, Carl Granderson, Javon Hargrave. Hargrave's already played. In that sense, hopefully you started him because I'm pretty sure he had 2 sacks. I know he had 1, but I think he had 2. So, I guess if you played him, great, and you only got to pick 1. Who do the Saints have? They got the Falcons. I still like that matchup for Granderson. Jones.
They have the Raiders.
Yeah. I honestly think I'd go Granderson here. It's pretty close for me. I like Jones. And he's been on a little bit of a hot the last few games as well. But I think I'd go Granderson, hoping you started Hargrave. If not, well, then you're Jones and Granderson it is.
That's what makes this week kind of interesting. We've already had 4 games already played, so the start
8 teams
sits
gone.
Yeah, yep. It's worse than a bye week. So,
yep. So, yeah, who do you got at D-line? Anything stand out to you there, or?
No, I like Granderson. He was one of my calls early in the season as a potential breakout. So hasn't disappointed. Hasn't had a stellar games, but it's been pretty consistent. So,
all right. And then lastly, one flex out anyone that was left. So I think to me that immediately goes back to our Roberts and Spillane conversation. Yeah. Yep. Or even Cashman, right? Yeah, depending, because it was a waiver claim. So yeah, Spillane, Roberts, or Cashman, whoever's left out of that group. No one else really stands out too great for me. I could see an argument for Bates if you wanted to, especially if Jameis Winston's playing, because then it's like you get an interception, and so Bates is likely to fall into one of those. But that would be more kind of, that's kind of a stretch, right? So I'd like the safety of what you get from Spillane, Cashman, or Roberts.
Jake, are you in the mindset of trying to use the linebacker as a flex just because of tackle floor and stuff like that? I've kind of always been in that mindset, but I don't know if it's always the right call.
So for me, I think yes, as a general rule of thumb, right? But to me, it all comes down to game theory, roster construction, a lot of variables that come in overall in that regard. So, but yes, as a general rule of thumb, I would like to have a linebacker in my flex spots, especially if you have any sort of strong range of outcomes for that linebacker, right? Like they're in on third downs, they're a lot of pass coverage snaps, or they get a lot of pass rush upside. They're taking 8, 10, 12 pass rush opportunities a game. If you're talking just traditional, I'm the Mike, I sit here in the middle and I wait till someone runs into me, like old school, just downhill football. Those are the linebackers I'm not as excited about in my flex, and generally not overly trying to roster unless it's a pretty deep league. But I mean, yeah, that's kind of where my thought goes.
No, I'm with you. I just didn't know if I like to bounce it off the brain trust every once in a while to see how it's. But
no, that sounds good. All right, well, let's jump into. We got some live people with us here, so thank you guys for hanging around as we went through the first question we had preloaded. Rogaroo, good morning. Good morning to you as well, sir. I think you're 3 for 3 with us this so far with this show. So thank you for joining in every morning. Just heard that Pratt is questionable. Are there any updates? Was that illness? I believe it was illness on Friday.
Yep. Yeah, he sat out. So
I'm comfortable playing him at this point, because actually Akeem Gaither also was dealing with illness on the injury report all week. So, but he ended up with no designation there. So you figure, that was Friday that limited him. He's got Saturday and Sunday here to kind of get right. So I don't have any concerns about Pratt. I mean, obviously, if you have the roster depth to pick someone up and kind of have that whatever. Pivot last second, check the inactives about an hour before the game kicks off. You can maybe go grab Davis Gaither because he ended up with 0 designation on their roster or the injury report, and then you could just slip those two or flip-flop those two in your lineup. So if you have concerns, I would do that. If your lineup's pretty much locked or your roster's pretty much locked, I don't think Pratt's likely to fall out of the lineup today at all.
And Cincinnati plays at 12, so at least you'll have the time to make that adjustment and call ahead of the rest of the roster or rest of the slate today. So,
yep. So good luck with that matchup, Rogaroo. Hopefully Pratt comes through for you big time. All right, Fantasy Football 101's asking us, pick 2, Bernard, Cashman, or Kenneth Murray. For me, Bernard is a smash against the Eagles. You got to play him. I think he's going to see a lot of work against them today. Then
it's hard to say Cashman, but Kenneth Murray has a sweet matchup versus Baltimore, and I think they're just they're just a running team, and he's been producing extremely well as of late.
Yep.
So,
Nope, I'm with you. Yeah, looking at that, especially because Baltimore is a little light in receiving options with Andrews on IR, a lot of injuries between different players there. So, and the success that they've had with Keaton Mitchell, Gus Edwards, Lamar Jackson, I think that this is something where, yeah, you're talking about a 70 plus snap opportunity with, half of those, if not more, being rushing attempts. Kenneth Murray should be able to, at 100% snaps, he should just statistically, he should fall into 7, 8, 9 tackles today. So I think yeah, we're on the same page on that one. Then moving on, we got Hannah. Good morning. I'm going to switch to offense since my IDPs are figured out. We like that. So half PPR, Cup, Smith, Olave, Dell, Rashad White. So Rashad White is dealing with some injury stuff. So if you haven't seen that already, take that into consideration. And I would probably pivot away from him almost completely this week. Then, so choose 3. I love Tank Dell. I think he's locked and loaded. Noah Brown is out for the Houston Texans this week, so just limiting those overall options. And Tank Dell is obviously won Stroud's trust down the field, so that's an easy start there. Jump in here, Jeff, if you got a strong feeling on any of these, because I'm kind of
I'm kind of Cooper Cup's been kind of battling some injuries, and he is not 100% to go, so I'm kind of leaning away from him.
Yep. I like Devonta Smith because they got, I forgot Goddard's still out, and Smith is smashed in most situations with Goddard out. So Smith and Dell are locked for me, and I think that leaves us with Olave.
Or I would check the news on White. It didn't sound terrible, but at the same time, like anytime your knee locks up, there could be some swelling and stuff a couple days later. So, or if it locked up on Friday, maybe you had too many turkey legs on Thursday and
too much turducken.
Yep.
So I think we're saying Smith, Dell are pretty much set in your lineups, and then you're looking between Olave and White, depending on how that looks. And that we talked about Winston being in potentially. I think I saw Carr's good to go at this point from the concussion protocol, but somehow if Winston does get the nod, I think that bodes well for Olave too, because that's just chuck it ball. Who cares what's down there? I think someone's down there on my team. All right, Ben. Needing some D line help. So, ouch. Ooh,
yeah.
Bench Gary. Ooh, I mean, the Lions have not been a positive matchup, but Gary is an elite talent in my opinion, and I think Jeff would agree there. But that's all right. Sometimes we don't always make the right lineup decisions. I know I haven't. Chris Jones, Harold Landry, or hit the waiver wires for Rams or Broncos D end. Well, I think you start Chris Jones. That's just you play your talent there, even though it's actually one of the least positive IDP matchups overall for the defensive interior. I mean, if you got Byron Young from the Rams, he's a strong volume play, and he's shown that he can deliver strong tackle floors. He's not huge in pass rush upside. Jonathan Cooper's had a strong season pass rush wise, so if your league favors big play scoring, I'd probably go Cooper over Byron Young.
Baron Brownie might be an option too for the Broncos. He's been playing really well as of late. For the Rams,
that's right.
Michael Hotek. I don't know, is that how you say his name?
I always said it Hoyt, and then I think someone told me that's wrong, and so I don't know. Michael
Ohoect. Yep. He's a high tackle for a guy. So depending on your league scoring, if you want if it's a tackle heavy league or if it's a big play league, that might dictate where you go. So
nice. Yep. So hopefully that helps you out, Ben. Rogeru coming back in. Oh, I just missed that this came through. So you could pivot to Kendricks, and yeah, is that Sunday night? That's the Sunday night game. Then I think the Ravens Chargers. So yeah, I mean, if it comes in and Pratt's inactive and you want to put Kendricks in there, I think that's a very safe play. Kendricks is back up towards that, 85 plus, 90+% snap count, if not more. And again, it's a solid matchup, I think, for linebackers there against the Ravens. Chase, looking at safety, Rayshon Jenkins, Jalen Thompson, Josh Metellus, Trayvon Merrick, Jaquan Brisker. Which 3?
I like the last 3.
Yeah, I say Metellus is locked in for me. Brisker, the Bears got the Vikings. Yeah, I still like that. So that's a great matchup there. So Metellus, Brisker. I might lean Thompson over Morig, but I feel like I'm splitting hairs at that point.
The only reason I thought Jalen Thompson had some injury designation this week, so I was a little hesitant on that one. And Morig's been scoring pretty well the last
Yeah,
couple of weeks. So, and they have who do they get this week? The Raiders have
Chiefs.
Chiefs. So, not that they have any receivers that can catch the ball, but
yeah, I like
a couple tackles on Kelsey.
This is true. I like the Cardinal safeties a little bit extra with Kaiser White going to IR. So you're talking Josh Woods and Green Bay Packers legends Chris Barnes. Sorry, there you go, Jeff.
Wow, you were always digging the Packers on me. Like every chance you get it.
As I have my Quay Walker jersey.
Right.
But yeah, I just think the middle of that defense is going to be weak. A weekend. And I think that's a chance for Thompson to deliver a little more. I mean, we're a few years removed from it, but he's shown he can be 100+ tackle safety coming up in the box in a previous defensive schemes. So I think we're in lockstep on Metellus Brisker. You like Merrick, I like Thompson. I feel like we might be splitting hairs, but at that point, Chase, you might have to flip a coin, or do you trust a guy with or without hair? Might be the final question you have to ask. So. All right, Bruce. Morning, Bruce. No question, but appreciate the welcome. And yeah, if you got any questions, shoot them in. Ben, appreciate you guys. Happy to help, Ben. Hope good luck in your weekly matchup. Hannah, thanks y'all. Thompson listed with questionable. Yep, that's right. He did get a late designation
with a back injury, with a back issue. So that's why I was kind of hesitant on him. So
maybe I must have missed that. I was just going through injury reports this morning. And I missed that one then. Well, anyways, so what? Anyone? We got no questions lined up right now, Jeff. Is there anyone from your side that you're really excited about this week, or any matchups that you're chasing a lot?
Well, anybody who's playing any New England defensive linemen, trying to fire up as any places I have them. I'm playing against the Giants. They're, gave up 10 sacks last week. Danny DeVito just seems that he can't do anything with the ball. No, that's his brother. So he just seems to be trying to do too much. He's trying to force the issue, holding on to the ball, trying to make things happen. And I think that's a recipe for disaster, especially against a Bill Belichick defense who's 1,000,000-0 versus rookie quarterbacks since his time in New England. So I think, he's going to dial up something special this week and kind of try to right the ship, do a lot of ball control on their side of the ball, run the ball, Ramondre Stevenson a ton, and then just let their defense shorten the field for them. So,
right. Nice. I forget who asked us last week. Someone asked at the end of the chat. Oh, wait, we got a question from Henry popping in. I'll jump into my thoughts here after we get Henry's question up. Full PPR, what do you think, Madison or Edwards? To me, that's a smash Edwards. If we talked a little bit earlier about the Ravens' lack of other offensive weapons potentially. Andrews out, Beckham and Flowers dealing with injury. Then that means your only fully healthy wide receivers coming in are Rashad Bateman and Nelson Aguilar, Puke, and Edwards has just been the clear goal line back. So to me, it's still a strong offense even in that situation. So I lean Edwards pretty heavily. I don't know, do you got any difference on that?
With your I totally agree, 100%.
And Minnesota hat.
That's actually Memorial for Memorial. Yeah, totally different. Totally different. Yeah, there's no purple in this house. So, no, I 100% agree. And Gus Edwards is a lock for a touchdown. He's not going to do a lot of value in PPR, but he's gonna get his goal line touches for sure. And Harbaugh clearly trusts him when they get down there. So,
yeah, and it's actually, side note, I know we're IDP, but it's a refreshing thing to see him not just smash Lamar Jackson into a goal line pile like let's take care of our franchise quarterback. So all right, a couple more. Ooh, chat blew up. Thank you guys, love it. Steve, losing faith on Quincy Williams fast. 3 out of 4 games getting less than 8 points. I think these injuries are getting to him. I might be starting Jordan Brooks or Devin Lloyd going forward. Well, I really hope you started Jordan Brooks this week. A huge week on Thanksgiving night for those who didn't see it. Devin Lloyd. Devin Lloyd's been relatively quiet this year overall. I feel like, at least in terms of.
Yeah, he's been tackle heavy the last couple of weeks. He's got a really
Yep.
high
Okay.
tackle
Yeah.
floor each and every week. Like he's like at 8-9 tackles a week. So he's
Yeah.
depending on your scoring. Jordan Brooks though is another one of those guys that feast or famine. I think last week he had like 2 points,
Yep.
a really low floor, and then all of a sudden this week he spiked for 7 tackles and a pick 6 for a touchdown. So
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's fair, to say. And Steven, I think you might have to do is just, you might have to kind of start streaming based on matchup between them. I think they're all guys you can hold on to, and they're viable to play each week. But then, yeah, you might just kind of have to really kind of dive into the given matchups and see what's better. And, hey, if you're willing to wait until Sunday mornings, you can always come in here and ask us which one of the 3 you like, assuming that none of them have played on a Thursday night game already. So, I think that's just, you saw Quincy Williams be the benefactor of piling up the tackles, but he plays alongside CJ Mosley. So it's hard to be able to one constantly feasting. Sometimes Mosley's just going to be the one making the plays. That's the unfortunate variance that falls into place when you have 2, I think, elite tackling linebacker opportunities there.
And when Jake, how do you feel like in a situation like this, if you're tired of like splitting, like you said, splitting hairs between these guys each week, if the trade deadline's not already passed, is there a chance like to package up 2 of these guys and just get a lock, set it and forget it type guy like a Luakon or Zaire Franklin? That way you don't have to worry about like, you can still sell high on the name of Quincy Williams. You can sell high on the elite game that Jordan Brooks had, and then maybe try to get one of those like, I don't have to worry about Luakon every week. I don't have to worry about Franklin every week, Roquan Smith every week. Just try to save yourself the headache from that. So,
right. I mean, so I'm always trying to do that in all my leagues. I will package up players where I think I have enough depth, and stuff like that I can afford to, deal with it week to week. Obviously, injuries can derail those plans quickly. I've thrived on it and I've died on it. So, I know some people like to be able to say I got the depth to withstand injuries, but I don't know. I guess I like to live on the edge. I'm always willing to trade depth to get elite set it and forget it talent, and go from there, because each week I'm playing to win, and my bench players don't do anything for me to win. So yeah, right. If your guy who's got Zaire Franklin, he's only got LB 3-4 deeper behind him on his lineup after that. Like, heck yeah, he should be excited at the idea of getting, Jordan Brooks and Devin Lloyd into his lineup. So he tears down from, one LB1 into that, fringe LB1, LB2 type ranges, and he has 2 of them now. So I think that's a great call out. I mean, a lot of that's going to fall on obviously league structure and roster layouts for everybody, but yeah, it's something you should be always looking at and considering. I agree with you.
He just messaged back about he didn't start Brooks. The last 2 weeks were less than 2 points, like we had said. Yeah, there you go. And he already had Wagner, he probably already had in, which is great. And yep. It would be tough starting Wagner and Brooks week in and week out. They just kind of cannibalize each other on that. Logan Wilson's a great matchup today. So,
yep.
And you started less than 3. How many do you start each week, Steve? What do you got for how many starters each week? Because if he's starting 3 or a flex, Wagner's an easy call. Logan Wilson's an easy call. And then, like we said, if we can package up a combo of Brooks and Lloyd or Brooks and Quincy, we don't do trade.
3 starters.
3 starters.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think, like you said, it's Wagner's probably locked in. Logan Wilson's probably locked in. So yeah, and if you ain't got trades, well then yeah, you kind of got to just stream the matchups. You got to look for, where are the tackle heavy matchups. Like a good call out, John Macri. If you're not following him, PFF Macri on Twitter X, he does a nice job every week of showing you which teams are linebacker or positional friendly for tackles, right? So like the Ravens and Browns. Like if your IDPs are going against the Ravens or Browns, those are tackle heavy matchups for linebackers, and so those are kind of the things that you might just have to kind of start diving into those levels or jumping in here and talking to us, and we're happy to help figure that out. So, so hopefully that helps you, Steven.
If you had to start,
if it doesn't.
Yeah, if you have to pick, it would be Wagner, obviously, for me. Wagner, Wilson, and then Lloyd this week if you haven't started Quincy Williams already. So,
yep. Nope. I think that's a good call. Thank you for that, Jeff. Rogeru, I love the KCDL versus Raiders. Yep. We got Antonio Thomas. Hey, Jake. Thanks for your help each week and the great content. Pratt or Paulson Adebo. I can start 3 to 4 linebackers or DB. Who do the Saints have now?
Saints get Atlanta. Adebo's been playing out of his gourd lately. He's been having some like primo, like he was in my write up for pickups prior to the bye to try to get ahead of these guys, because if he gets obviously coming off the bye, no one's going to be interested in him. But yeah, he's been playing great. We've already talked about Pratt a little bit, having the illness and might not be at 100%. So it just kind of depends on your faith in the Atlanta passing offense, which probably isn't very, because aren't there a bottom half team?
Yes.
For DBs, for corners.
Yes, it's a bottom 10 matchup in my looks here for those DBs. So for that, I get it's Desmond Ridder again this week, and I don't know. It's just so all over the place with that, and he's likely to probably be following London, who is Ridder's favorite target overall when they're both out there. I would just lean Pratt. There's too much volatility there for me. Normally I'm not afraid to inject some boom bust into my lineup like that. But for this week, I feel like I would just err on the side of Pratt. Now, if you have strong floors across the board otherwise, or maybe you had some great Thursdays, maybe you had Jordan Brooks in your lineup and you're like, I already got a great start this week, and you're like, I want to go for the throat, I could see putting a Debo in there then just for that big play upside. Because yes, he's delivered it in more than one way, right? It's not just, he had some fluky interceptions go his way. He's had a couple interceptions. He's had a couple forced fumbles. A handful of breakups. So he's doing everything out there in terms of splash plays for us. And with Lattimore to IR, I think it's only more likely that he keeps seeing the targets and opportunities to do that. Henry says thanks. Yep. Thank you, Henry. Eric Harms, friend of the show here. Kevin Byard or Buda Baker? Jeff?
Well, first of all, Eric, congrats on the Iowa Hawkeyes win this week. Way to salt away Nebraska in the last seconds of that game. But we mentioned before, like Jalen Thompson getting a few more looks with Kaiser White out. I think Buda Baker is a smash this week, especially with the linebackers depleted in front of him. As much as I like Byard, he seems to be more of a playing that free safety role, kind of dependent on a pick, whereas Buda is going to be more of a higher tackle floor. I just think he's going to assume a little bit more in the box snaps.
Yep. Nope. I'm with you. It's like a 60-40, 65-35. Like, if you're a Byard fan, go for it. But yeah, I lean Buda this week as well with Jeff. So did you hear how Eric celebrated the Iowa victory?
It's a family show. I don't know. Can we?
He tried to like do a cartwheel over his snow thrower and ended up hurting his leg pretty bad. So sorry, Eric. I didn't mean to make light of it. We were chatting on X last night, and so yeah, he hurt his leg pretty bad.
No picture, no proof. No picture, no proof.
Right. He was looking for those sympathy points to boost his matchup this week. All right, Bruce coming in with a Landon, Devin Lloyd, Hobbs, or McKinney in my flex 2. That is a good question. Gosh, my gut leans a Landon and then Hobbs. Actually, I like Hobbs this week against the Chiefs.
I'm going to throw you a curveball on this one. McKinney has like the most tackles by safety in the last like few weeks, and it's not even close. He's got like 34,
like
35
or something.
Yeah. So, granted, they get New England this week, but he's been a hot player. It'd be tough to bench him.
Yeah.
We already said Landon Roberts kind of has not the greatest of matchups.
No. But I mean, what is that going to look like though? I feel like that's going to be a lot of short stuff this week, right? They're gonna really cut that field in half vertically for Browning, I think, and so it could be a lot of 3 and outs, so limited opportunities, or it could be something where it's just a lot of dink and dunk, right? And it's just all this stuff right in front of them, and Pratt could be the one eating that up with Wilson. So it's tough to say because historically it's not been ideal for linebackers, but that's Joe Burrow historically, right? So what does Browning bring to that? So yeah, you might want to stay away from the variance in that, as we're talking through this out loud. So
my second guy was going to be Hobbs. So we both said Hobbs. I love Hobbs' matchup this week. I think he's going to see a lot of Kelsey in the slot. He's just been performing extremely well. I don't think he has a game this season where he hasn't had double-digit points.
Mm-hmm.
And so Hobbs is kind of like I
think Hobbs is that consensus, right? Like if you want certainty, Hobbs probably feels like it. But now that we're talking through that, like a Landon, I don't know, man. Like, yeah, I would just go Hobbs, and then maybe if you like McKinney, I do have the Patriots as a plus matchup, a strong plus matchup for safety. So, Houston's not the greatest linebacker matchup either. Yeah, I'd lean Hobbs or McKinney. I think at this point, the way we've talked through this, so I don't know. You make the final call here, Jeff, for Bruce.
We're both running on Hobbs. His name jumped right off the screen when we saw it, or when I saw it. Followed up by McKinney, only because he's been riding such a heater. So,
yep. All right. Well, hopefully that helps you, Bruce. Sounds like we're leaning Hobbs. Antonio coming back. Could also go Pratt, then Adebo or Dax Hill. And what was I'm now? Yeah. So like I said, Cincinnati. We were just talking about them. Who do they have? They got the Steelers. Yeah, I think I'd still. I don't think that changes anything for me. Like I said, Pratt could be pretty solid floor, and Adebo's got that boom bust opportunity. And I think Jeff locked up on us. Either that or he's really focused. Well, Jeff, let me know when you make it back, sir. Hopefully make it back soon. Let's see here. Keep moving down. Oh, nope. That was when we talked through. We got Ben, IDP Flex, Jewel, Simmons, or Delpit. Cleveland matchup for the safeties for Denver. Not the greatest, but Delpit plays a lot of box. Oh, looks like we got you back. Whew.
My hamster died. I had to put a new one in.
So Delpit, Simmons, or Jewel for Broncos. Safety matchup is definitely a +1 here against the Browns. Jewel was finally fully healthy in practice too, which was nice, but his snaps have just been greatly cut in half, or not cut in half, but reduced. I mean, he's getting close to that 70% mark, which is not fun. So I honestly, I think I go Simmons, Delpit, Jewel here for me.
Same. Yeah, Jewel just worries me. His snap share and his efficiency have just been not something great, and Kringleton has been just killing it. So I do like Delpit of most of those, especially with the Cleveland linebacker seeming to be kind of in flux every week. Delpit's been kind of the consistent piece there. So I know he plays safety, but
yeah, actually, when you say that though, too, like I got to reconsider. It's still Cleveland Browns. It's still Denver Broncos, because it's still Cleveland. Sorry, they're right next to each other in my alphabetical rankings here. Still a bottom third matchup for linebackers. So even with him coming down, yeah. So I'm still Simmons over Delpit. Simmons Delpit. But like you said, the way you were talking through that, Delpit half the time is playing as a linebacker, so it's hard to say how safeties score truly against that, right? So,
Mackery's got to get another hybrid chart going.
You're right. We're falling way behind here. We gotta speed it up, Jeff. Times 2 play. Please rank top 3 this Sunday for LB DL. If you're talking just overall, top 3 defensive line. I mean, if you're looking true elite each week here, it's Micah Parsons, Garrett, and Watt were the ones coming into the games that really stood out. And if you're ever looking for these rankings specifically, we have them over at the IDPshow.com for subscribers there. And Jace Abbey, one of our favorites, is doing that for us every week. So Parsons, Garrett, and Watt were the top 3 for him this week. And then for linebackers, Foyce, Zaire, and Edwards, TJ Edwards of the Chicago Bears. So, I mean, those are your elite. I mean, those are the top guys you should be starting every week. So hopefully that helps you out. Is that Fractal Rain? But if you got some specific ones that you're looking for, happy to do that. So, Rogeru, yep. Lattimore on IR, yep. That happened, I think, just earlier this week. Steven, just shouting, thanks a lot. Sorry, Quincy. But I'll start with Wagner and Wilson. Awesome. Yep. Like I said, feel free to jump in each week if the matchups aren't clear and how you want to roll with those guys. I had CJ Mosley, but also Warner. Oh, and let's see. You could go. That's when he's talking about Pratt and Adebo or Dax Hill, and then had CJ Mosley, but also Warner. So, yeah, I mean Mosley and Warner are locked in there. So that makes sense. Eric saying thanks. Straight defense overall here. Giants defense or Titans defense. So the Giants are getting the Patriots and the Titans are getting the Panthers. That's a good question there. I'd probably lean with Dexter Lawrence doubtful. I think I'd actually lean the Titans here. I think you're just in a situation where Bryce Young has shown he's clearly mistake prone as well. And, they don't have any big play opportunities. So I think you're going to limit scoring that way. And they've been a strong pass rush team. They don't have the standout names, but you got guys like Danico Autry out there just doing work every week. So in the sense, it's a true team defense. And I think that's probably who I'd lean in a straight defense matchup.
Same. I just think the talent on Carolina's offense, when you have a 31-year-old Adam Thielen as your like threat, I don't think that there's a lot to shy away from. I think the Titans defense is the way to go here this week.
Yep. All right, Rogaru, you guys got in my head now. A Landon or Kendricks? Tulilapoto, I think is how you say it. Something like that. Double T.
Tulilapoto, yeah.
So yeah, who do you like here, Jeff? A Landon Roberts or Eric Kendricks? So Kendricks has got the Ravens and Pittsburgh has the Bengals.
I'm going to lean Kendricks here just to the matchup. I think Roberts, we've kind of discussed quite a bit about how just like, what's that matchup going to be like? What's a full game of Browning going to be like for the Bengals? How is their offense tweaked? Is that just run heavy with Mixon? Then that's a great thing for Roberts, but is it going to be a lot of quick outs and try to just quick screens to Chase to help him out?
Right. Boy, is it going to be just, safety valve to Tanner Hudson and Tyler Boyd, or, they're going to try to just put the ball in Chase's hands as many different ways as possible. Like, I just feel like it's going to be a lot of quick, short passes. Right. And so how does Roberts play into that? If it's, like I said, if it's a lot of stuff over the middle, could he feast? But also, okay, cool. And now it's 2nd and 8. Now it's 3rd and 6. Now it's 4th and 2. Punt. Great. Did that really pile anything up for Roberts? Sadly, sometimes for our defensive players to score well, we do need to see some sustained drives unless they're really delivering in that splash play category.
And we know what we're getting with Baltimore. Like Baltimore is like, we know we're getting a run heavy attack, and Kendricks and Murray are going to be the recipient of those tackles. So,
yep.
And Derwin James.
Bruce, thank you guys. Love the show. Well, Sago, but he corrected himself to let us know it's show. So thank you, Bruce. Harms, gotta love watching defense as an Iowa fan because there isn't anything to watch not without Sam Laporta, right? Didn't he have like 97% of their offense last year? That's obviously hyperbole, but yeah, that's not a great.
Kittle went there offense. Too, right? Kittle
did,
too, right?
And Fant went there. I mean, right? Because that's tight end university,
right?
Wasn't there someone else that went there too recently? Did Hawkinson go there? We'll have to look that up. Let's see who's next year, but we'll have to verify that, or Eric will verify it for us. Chase, would you drop Rayshon Jenkins for Jordan Battle? If you're talking redraft, I think that's a fair consideration. I personally have not dug into enough Jordan Battle stats this week to kind of understand how he's really rolling out there. Rayshon Jenkins is consistently a box safety, but he's an extremely inefficient box safety, comparably speaking. So he gets great alignment usage. He just doesn't do a ton with it. So, I mean, this could be off the top of my head right here. If you are looking to just inject some variance or some potential upside, I think Battle can do that based on what I saw from him in my rookie stuff when working with Jeff this offseason. I really loved how he was able to play deep and still come and attack downhill. And, I think that Dax Hill kind of has carved out his role as more of the primary deep safety. So if Battle's stepping in there, I believe for Nick Scott, he's going to see more towards the line, and he's a strong run defender overall from his college tape. So I would be okay with that. I'd probably lean, like I said, this is more probably like a 60-40, maybe 55-45, just because I haven't dug in enough to Jordan Battle to say that with high level confidence. But Jeff, I think you seem to maybe have some thoughts on that. Where would you lean?
Yeah, I'm definitely. I don't worry so much about defensive backs like dropping them.
Yeah.
There's so many of them. Jenkins has had kind of like a really poor run as of late. He's like his tackle like ceiling has been like 4 tackles for like the last 4 or 5 games, and that's just the roster clogger. He's and Battle's got a lot of upside. He played like 80% of the snaps, and like of those 80%, 50% of them were in the box. So he's getting a lot of like in the box tackle opportunity, which is great for his floor. So I would definitely make that flip and just hope for upside, whether it's redraft or dynasty. If it's dynasty, for sure, because Jenkins is getting a little bit longer in the tooth, and Battle obviously has got the pedigree. And we kind of talked about this a little bit last week too, about how, if the Bengals without Burrow, or if they just want to kind of evaluate some talent and see what they've got going into the offseason, they might want to get a good look at Battle to see what they have in that position between him and Dax Hill going forward.
Yep.
If they're going to have the future safeties locked down there. So.
Yep. All right. Then Ben, what about Merrick matchup versus Kansas City? I mean, Jeff, I think you've talked about this at least once already this morning. I'll let you take this one.
Yeah, I really like the matchup. I think the Raiders defense doesn't really have a lot of playmakers in front of him. Spillane is a great story, but he's just a guy. Diablo is, converted safety himself. So I think there's a lot of opportunity. And I think that, Merrick's finally living up to his draft capital a little bit. And I think it's a great matchup for him. I would probably put him at like back in DB2 going for this week. So with some upside there. So
in your mind, with Crosby doubtful, and you and I were talking about this before we started this morning, I really don't think Crosby plays. I know you were saying, he said something in the social media or news or whatever that he really wants to go because it's Mahomes, and obviously that's just the competitive drive he has. But let's say Crosby's out, right? From my hypothetical, does that give you even a boost to Merrick then now that Mahomes is going to just he can make enough time in the pocket on his own, but now that you have less pressure coming from Crosby?
Just so many much longer sustained drives, and just like on the field so much more. And Jake, volume is king in IDP. Yep. I could definitely see a scenario where they're getting 70 snaps this week against Kansas City, and even with a 10% tackle share, with that's 7 tackles on the week, and who knows what else. Maybe he gets a forced fumble, or Mahomes has been known to throw an INT or whatever. So,
well, or his wide receivers have been known to let the balls go through their hands into the defender's hands. So, but yeah, no. So that's I agree with you there. Like I like Merrick, and then I'm like I said, just with my belief that Crosby doesn't go, or if he does, he's severely limited this week. I just can't imagine that they're in such a state of flux, that franchise, that this guy is the face of their franchise at this point. I mean, like, who else is it? Aiden O'Connell? I don't think so. Like Josh Jacobs? I doubt it. Like you're franchise tagging this guy. I mean, you got Devontae Adams, and he's vocal, but he's a clear leader on the offensive side, but I don't know that they're making him the face of the franchise. So I just can't see them running Crosby out there in the state of things right now. So
yes, if they were in a playoff hunt or on the cusp of making it or something like that, yeah. But with them being all but mathematically eliminated, there's really no point.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're somewhat close. Well, no, they did lose last week, didn't they? I don't know. Everything's such a jumble in the AFC now, especially
with that seventh team making the playoffs. It kind of adds a kind of a kind of a wild card into it, obviously. But that's what they're intending to do. But haha, see what I did there? Yeah. But yeah, I think whether Crosby plays or not, I think Merrick's got a great matchup. He's been playing pretty well as of the last couple of weeks too. So,
sorry, yes, big rabbit hole down there. Let's climb our way out. We got Eric coming in. Yep, it was Hawkinson, and Antonio confirming with us. Yep, also Hawkinson. So, all right, that catches us up in the chat. So again, thank you everybody for hopping in here. Shoot the questions over. Love to talk through them. I think we talked about, some of your favorite matchups or players you're liking this week. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say,
Oh,
because we kind of covered defensive line, top play this week, defensive line. How about yours?
yeah. So for me, if you're interested, this is free over at the IDPshow.com. I do start a start set thread, just a little one, right, where I'm targeting guys I like and guys I'm fading this week. So my top D line that I like this week, at least at ranking value, I think they're kind of above that. Will Anderson this week, really like him against the Jacksonville Jaguars. If you look at the underlying numbers, right, the guy is winning single matchups, double team matchups at a very impressive rate across the NFL as whole. But then you consider the fact that he is a rookie, right? He's 20 something years old, 21, 22 years old, going against these fully grown men. And he's really delivering, and he's coming through in clutch plays. Last week when he was against the Cardinals, right, at the fourth down play, he got in there, created the pressure, didn't record the sack. But basically forced Murray to underthrow that ball. He stepped up in the run game as well. So I think this is just something where it's a strong, favorable matchup against the Jags. Their offensive line has had some struggles in their tackle position and pass protection. So I really like Will Anderson this week as someone that I'm trying to fire up in lineups everywhere I got him. At linebacker, I love Ivan Pace this week. I think that matchup against the Ravens, right? No, excuse me, the Bears. Sorry, yeah, wrong purple teams in my head here. I just love him this week, especially with Justin Fields back. Justin Fields had 18 rush attempts, over half of them designed runs last week. I think this is something where we're going to see consistency in that Bears offense that way. And Pace, someone who's just hyper athletic, can play sideline to sideline. Even if they're 5 yards, 10 yards downfield, a tackle's still a tackle. And I think Pace is someone who's got a strong penchant to pile up those tackles, as well as just the pass rush upside he showed at Cincinnati and getting paired with Brian Flores and the amount of blitzing that they like to do out of that cover zero look, right, where they just line up 7-8 guys across the line of scrimmage. I like Pace this week. So,
do you like Pace more than El Shahir?
This week I do, yeah. Yep, that'd be someone I'd start over. I'd start Pace over. Looks like we got a couple more questions pop in. Make sure we get to those. Mike's wondering, Duggar, Battle, or Blackman with a tackle-heavy scheme? Let me pull up my scoring matrix here. Jeff, anyone stand out to you while I just take a quick peek here?
Well, I think I'm playing Mike this week in my league that I really need to win in, so I don't want to answer that. I'm gonna give him the wrong advice here. No.
Mike, just leave the spot empty, so that way when you beat Jeff, like, you just really hanging on him, right? Like I did it, without a guy in my actual lineup. So
I really have a liking for Blackman this week. I think that his matchup is really good. Battle is like a great wild card where we're not quite sure. Was last week an anomaly? Will they go back to Nick Scott this week? So, and then Duggar is kind of playing against the Giants. We're maybe looking for that over or turnover to kind of sway it in his value. So I like Blackman this week. So.
All right. For me, I think I'd lean Duggar slightly in this thing, but for me, it's Duggar Blackman pretty close. So, but I love that Duggar plays 100%. He lines up, close to half the time as a linebacker. But yeah, I think it's Duggar Blackman. I think you take Blackman maybe for the floor. I like Duggar if you're looking for a little bit of volatility and variance, like that boom bust type of approach. And Battle, like I said, I don't have enough to review on him. But yeah, he is getting better than ideal alignment. But we'll see, right? He got injected into the lineup with the injury last week, and so how do they put him in there now with a full week of prep? Is it essentially the same role? Do they rotate things? Now all of a sudden they're like, no, we want Battle deep and Dax up close now that we've had a week to maybe shift some of the game plan. But that's mid-season. That's less than likely. So yeah, I think we're kind of split there. But yeah, Blackman probably the safer play.
Good luck, Mike. Not really.
We got Bev. Ooh, don't listen to the bald guy. He said Jacksonville doesn't give many points. They're literally number one, giving up just under 50 points per game to the IDP guru, points allowed by position to date. I mean, I guess that's scoring variance or setup there. So, I mean, when I look at the stats that we compile up here on the platforms I play on, you know, based on our scoring, so it could be a difference in scoring, a very tackle heavy versus not tackle heavy. You know, I'm referencing scoring that's closer to like 1.25 per solo, and 0.75 for an assist. So maybe there's a variance there. So sorry, Bev, if I'm sounding way off base for you there. But you know, happy to discuss any of the questions you have in between there, and how kind of get to some of those matchups. So, Mike's laughing at you because you're funny, Jeff.
Funny looking, I know.
Clint's wondering, should I start Anthony Jennings at the Giants or Baron Browning at the Browns? So Patriots. I got to double check and see where Jennings is snap wise now, because he was at an extreme usage before, and he's still way up there. So, I mean, yeah, I think. Ooh, this is a good one. I'm stuck. You got an immediate thought? Otherwise, I can jump.
My knee jerk was to go Browning just because he's been playing well as of late.
Yep.
But that matchup against the Giants I think gives him a bit of a boost.
Yeah, I mean, it's a volume play when you're going with Jennings at this point, right? I mean, he's yet to record a sack. You know, he's got, you know, in his last, he's got 6 games as a starter here, basically, and 2 of those he didn't even record a single pressure. Pass rush grades have been average to above average.
Browning's been playing like 35 snaps per game, which is a pretty decent floor. 35, 35, and 49 this last week. They are playing up against a very run-heavy team, so he's going to get a lot of, I would assume, tackle opportunities with Jerome Ford and Kareem Hunt this week. They're probably going to want to take the ball out of Dorian Thompson's hands.
Yeah. Yeah, at this point, I get it's the Giants, and it's generally a matchup you do want to target, just the level of talent-wise and what they've allowed to happen there. I think I go Baron Browning with you, though. Browning's just he's got the chance to actually inject a huge performance into your lineup. I think, even like you said, even if it is kind of limited snap-wise, you know, if he's down kind of at the 30-35 mark. Yeah, I'm confidently putting Browning in here as we talk through this. Hopefully that helps you out, Clint, unless you're a big Anthony Jennings fan. All right. Matthew's wondering, Justin Simmons, Harrison Smith, or Snead for the defensive back spot. Let's see.
Harrison Smith jumps off the page at me just because of playing, you know, again, we kind of mentioned it before with, you know, the Cardinal situation where they're missing a linebacker. You know, Vikings are down Hicks. I think Harrison Smith kind of steps up, plays a little bit more of that in the box role just because of that. Simmons has kind of been that traditional free safety, more playing back, looking for picks and things like that. Whereas I don't think they're going to have a lot of opportunities this week against the Browns. Whereas, you know, the Bears are a pretty nice matchup for linebackers and safeties. So,
yeah, I think for me, it's got to be Harrison as well here. Snead has really lost that slot duty or defender duty and to McDuffie, and he's done well in an NFL sense, right? When he's matching up outside against some of these other corners, or excuse me, other teams' top wide receivers, and Snead has really delivered for this Kansas City defense in terms of what they want to do on an NFL field, but it's really limited his IDP production upside. You know, you look at what Snead did last week against the Philadelphia Eagles: 2 sacks, a forced fumble, really getting out there and trying to make those big plays. So I think for me, Snead's kind of a fade at this point, almost entirely. You know, if you're in cornerback required and you need to put someone out there, he's likely to still make some plays just because, again, lining up outside against some of the team's number ones, and Snead is a good player. But when you got these options here, think for me it goes Harrison, Justin, Sneed in that order. So I like what Flores does with Smith out there on the field overall, and the Bears are generally a pretty positive scoring matchup for safeties.
Another knock on Sneed this week is they're playing the Raiders, so game script could be a huge part of that too. There's, an opportunity, like we said earlier, where the Chiefs are running 70 plays, and there's not a lot of opportunity for that defense to do a lot. So,
yep. Clint says, "Thanks, guys. Leaning Jennings because of the Giants matchup totally makes sense, and like I said, that's immediately where my gut went reading it, from the screen here." But yeah, I mean, I know it was one game last year too, but I mean, you look at when Baron Browning really burst onto the scene last year against the Colts, he had 10 pressures, 2 sacks, obviously there's something in that matchup that was ideal that he was able to take advantage of, or whatever it was that was specifically on film or on the game at that time. But that's the kind of upside that you can get with Browning, because he's proven it, right? Whereas Anthony Jennings he's a volume guy. He's getting out there, he's getting run, and hasn't produced a sack yet. He's had games where he basically disappeared, and maybe that works for what the NFL, that defense is scheming, what Belichick's trying to do, and that's why Jennings keeps getting run. I mean, I don't know, but in terms of what we get for IDP production, yeah, I think that leaves us squarely on the shoulders of Baron Browning this week. Matthew says thanks, and then asks us Logan Wilson or Drew Tranquil. I think we go Wilson with the floor play. Wilson is strong in coverage though, so he has that big play upside as well. With Tranquil, I just like that I think he gets a little bit more pass rush work than what we'd see from Logan Wilson. So I think it gives him that upside. It's actually kind of faded a bit here in the second half of the season, pretty light. So yeah, I think pretty confidently Logan Wilson over Drew Tranquil there. James, start one. Christian Harris, Jermaine Pratt, Landon Smith, or JOK.
Roberts, Landon Roberts.
I think it might be a Landon Roberts. Yeah, I'm not Landon Smith's drawing a blank for me. So, but Harris, Pratt, Landon, or JOK. Landon jumps off the page even in a minus matchup overall.
Yeah, Harris hasn't been getting consistent snaps, and it's just kind of a wild card if it's going to be Tua or Cashman. So it's kind of.
I think Cashman's kind of now, especially with Perriman still suspended, I think locked in as the Mike and 100% out there. But right, that's that weak side linebacker role from, is it To'o, Christian Harris? I think they rolled out Corey Littleton a little bit a couple weeks back. So I mean, Pratt's up there in consideration as well, but I think, like I said, my gut immediately goes to Landon Roberts. JOK has done a nice job making splash plays in his limited time. I think he leads all linebackers in tackles for loss, or did at least a few weeks back, I saw. But to me, at this point, the volume that Roberts is getting and what he brings as a run defender is too much to pass up on. Then James also wondering, needs to start a DB, Sneed, Gordon, or McKinney. I think you got him in inverse order there for me. So it's McKinney, Gordon, Sneed, and that's pretty well locked in my mind.
Same. McKinney's been on fire the last 3 or 4 weeks. Has got like way more tackles than any other safety at this point. Like we already mentioned, Sneed was kind of a downgrade when just playing the position on the field. He's not in that sweet spot anymore, and he's got a bad matchup. Gordon would be an okay play between the two of them, but I think McKinney's just slam dunk.
Ben circling back with what's going on with Al Shire. Seems to have slowed down considerably. I guess I don't have anything noteworthy that I've seen like on film or like in from coach speak or anything like that. But yeah, I mean he just kind of has. I know he's when you look at the numbers, he's leaving a lot of meat on the bones when it comes to tackles. So I mean the guy has in the last 5 games he's got 6, 8. Yeah, he's got 8 missed tackles that he's left out there. He's got almost a 14% missed tackle rate. So I mean, it could just be something where he's just kind of not living up to some of that stuff. Because I mean, when you got Jeffrey Simmons keeping you clean in front of you, I mean, you should have a good opportunity to pile up some nice some numbers overall. So I mean, it could just be a little bit of overproduction and variance that he's experienced there, because he had a nice run of 8, 9, 12, 13, 10, 10, and the last week 7 and the last week 4 against Jacksonville. So, I mean, that's, yeah.
He's been playing 100% of snaps. That's all you can really ask for. If you're rolling him out as your linebacker 3-4, you're probably happy with that, but definitely not with what he started the season with and kind of that high floor that he was having. I know I've got him in a couple leagues too, and it's just like now I'm questioning, like you've been, like, do I roll him out or do I roll out an Ivan Pace this week over in front of him? So, and that's what I'm doing. Gotta take down Mike Howard.
we are taking down all the Mike Howard this week.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the season, it averages out to a 14% tackle efficiency, but I mean, you can see a clear distinction, right? If you look at it from a breakdown week to week, like started off a little slow, had a hot streak where he piled up a bunch, right? And then the last week against Jacksonville and the week before against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is definitely kind of more of a pass funneling offense, right? Where they're not trying to focus on running the ball between the tackles. They're looking to attack downfield with Mike Evans. Baker Mayfield seemingly has eyes only for Mike Evans at times, or Cade Otton down the seam. And Rachaad White just is not establishing the run there. So it's just not a positive matchup last 2 weeks ago there. And then, it talked about, hey, that Houston doesn't have the best matchup against the Jacksonville Jaguars this week for linebacker scoring. And you look no further than last week when Azeez Al-Shaair piled up 4 total tackles against them, right? So that was kind of what we were alluding to earlier, and just saying, hey, Cashman's a great start, right? Like in terms of he gets the alignment, he gets the usage. He's made plays in the passing game. He's delivered a little bit of pass rush upside and a strong tackle floor. But unfortunately, you just have to lower expectations then with Cashman this week, because Jacksonville just they don't attack that part of the field with their offense, right? And it's defensive IDP scoring is reactionary. You can't necessarily always dictate what you're going to do, especially when you get further away from the line. So linebackers, and then especially defensive backs, right? That's where all the variance gets injected, and then you're kind of just trying to play your range of outcomes and your utilizations.
The other thing too, don't base it on this week either, because he has the Carolina Panthers, which is a horrible matchup for opposing linebackers as well. So I think better days are coming for him, for Al-Shaair. Just the last 2 weeks, he's had some bad matchups, and like Jake said, he's missed some tackles, and he makes 3 or 4 of those tackles. You're not as concerned about it. But when you just look at the box score at the end of the day, it's like, ooh, 4 tackles. Like, there's a reason for that. So.
Yep. All right. Well, that takes us through all the questions, gets us caught up. We're at that hour mark, so I think we're going to wrap it up here this morning, Jeff. I want to say, obviously, first and foremost, thank you, Jeff, for jumping in here again this week. I love talking ball with you. I love catching up, so I really, really appreciate that. Second, thank you to all the people who hopped on here, all the questions that we got beforehand, all the questions that you guys came in here with. Love helping you out. I'm presuming we're helping you out with your lineups. Fingers crossed we get you guys that W this week. But thank you. Hopefully you guys all keep coming back, bring us those questions, and we'll help you out. So, Jeff, anything you want to add before we head out?
No, just keep checking the IDP show out every day. Like, there's something new and big coming out every day, whether it's waiver stuff on the starting of the week, start sits things. It could be rankings, cornerback streaming. Yeah. Johnny the Greek has been killing it with his calls and things like that. He's just hitting at an unbelievable rate, so yeah, make that paper. But then, like, all week long, there's just like something every day, whether it's waivers or start sit rankings. They're doing things like with DFS lineups and stuff. So every day
trade shows.
New. Yeah.
So
start sit things even.
Yeah, right. If you guys aren't tuned in on there, go follow them on Twitter, X, whatever, sub to this, go to the website. There's all kinds of ways to connect with it, but yeah, there's plenty of great content out there. So great ways to build your own narratives and understanding of everything with IDP. You can put it all together, and it just gives you a great foundation to go out there and hopefully overcome and take down your league. So yeah, with that said, thank you again, Jeff. Thank you, everybody. You guys have a great Sunday, and IDP out.